Hello, this is Ray from Cologne Bookkeeping. In this tutorial, we're going to see how to create a custom report. It'll be expenses by vendor by expense type. We'll start off in QuickBooks, and if you were to run a vendor report for transaction list by vendor, change that to the current year. This is just a test file, test data. You would see the vendors and all of their charges, but you wouldn't see what expense they were mapped to, and you wouldn't have them grouped together in, let's say, monthly buckets. So that's what we're going to try to do today. So we're going to run a normal P&L. Again, we'll modify that for the year. We'll scroll down to total expenses, and we'll double click that. Now this report has just about everything we need. The only thing I would change is here where you see you have a debit and a credit column. I prefer to have one column with the amount, so I'm going to customize the report and scroll down to near the bottom here in columns and remove debit and credit and add amount. Good. Now we're ready to export. So we'll export this to Excel. If you haven't done so already, click the advance and make sure that this space between columns is unchecked. You can also uncheck this one here for the export guide that is the default in QuickBooks. Okay, we're ready to go. Export that into Excel. And here we are. Now for this report, what I do, it left this one column D blank between the expense types and the rest of the report. That's fine because we're going to use that column. Just make it a little bigger and format it to accounting or some number format so it'll accept formulas. So for this first one, I'm just going to go equals B2 just to get that first expense type. What I want to do is have the expense type on each row. So for that, I would just write a small formula, equals if is blank, and you just check to see if that cell is blank. If it is blank, give me the one above. If it's not, return the expense. Now with this formula, we just have to copy it all the way down that column, and we're good. Now there's a expense type for each row. So now I just highlight the entire column, copy, and paste values, and now we can delete columns A through C. We'll give this header row a name, so this will just be expense, and we're ready to go. We're going to create a pivot table with this information. Don't worry about these totals. We'll filter those out. I know that some people go in and delete the rows. You don't have to do that. So clicking somewhere in the table, in the data, you just go insert, pivot table, okay. So now we'll just bring down the expense into the rows, and then we'll bring down the name right beneath it. And then we'll go for the amount and bring it into the values. We'll modify that, field value settings, change it to sum, and just change the name to amount with a space. I forgot one thing. Field value settings, I normally set mine to number format accounting. Okay. Now we'll take the date and we'll put it here in column label. Okay, that's crazy. Too many dates. So what you do is you click on any of the dates, right mouse button, and then group and select months. That's much better. Okay, we can close this field list. One last item in the column labels, deselect the blank, and that's it. So now let's go to the bottom of the data and we see that the total is $115,365.81. Go back and look at the P&L. $115,365.81. Returning to the report, a couple of things I like to do is I like to set the freeze panes right there. And then I go to the expense types, right mouse button, field settings, print layout, and I insert a blank line after each item label. It makes the report easier to read. Now, the reason my clients like this report is that it gives them the ability to see month over month each of their vendors with the expenses that they're mapped to. It's easy to spot here that these two vendors should probably be merged. Here we have car and truck expense for Deborah Wood. It's usually under $50, but here's a large one. If you want to know what's there, just double click. It'll open up a new tab for you, and we can see that it's auto repairs, the bulk of it, and an expense report. You can delete that tab, and you're back to your report. This report is good around year end or the beginning of the year when you're getting ready for tax time. It's a good way for the owners to have a comprehensive look at their P&L in a way that the P&L can't show them. Okay, hope you find this helpful.